Every story starts with a single thread, or in this case, a piece of wire. This whole project began as a collaboration with our eldest writer in residence, my husband. What started as a simple idea at the start of 2020 slowly grew into something much bigger, a year-long journey of creating a wool doll sculpture that carries a beautiful story. And yes, I may have slightly underestimated how much work this little being would demand. This is the very first video in an 8-part series following the complete creation of a needle-felted art doll. A sort of woodland gnome, or more specifically, a tomte, a nis, a dwarf, whatever you want to call him. Today we're going to start at the very beginning, building the strong wire armature and sculpting his hands, arms, feet, and legs. It looks deceptively simple, but it is not. Back in 2020, I decided to finally put wool to wire and build one of the creatures in my husband's epic tales. To hold myself accountable, because I had tried before to do this and let other dolls get in the way, I decided to publish it as a monthly doll-making project on Patreon. I thought it would take 2, maybe 4 episodes. It quickly turned into a year-long adventure. Now, years later, I am re-editing the entire process into these videos so you too can follow along on the journey with me. The funny thing is, the story progressed so much that my husband and I both feel he's not the wool creature in the story. Though he's finished now, I have to admit he's not just any doll. He now carries the spirit of the old Scandinavian tomte or nis, the ancient guardians of home and hearth. But for most people that have seen him, he feels like a gnome, so that's what we can call him from now. To me, he's more a woodland creature, taking care of specific areas in the forest. The goal for this series is simple: to take you with me through every stage of this beautiful creative process. My frustrations, the little victories, all of it. So you can too witness the magic that happens when wool, wire, and a bit of imagination come together under your hands, giving life to a doll. I started by building the armature for the hands. I decided to eat this big pie one tiny little bite at a time. So the first part is to figure out the hand armature. This is by far the most boring part, but also the most important. I spent a surprising amount of time adjusting the proportions and design of this little guy. My husband had some size considerations he wanted me to mind, and so I had to work under those restrictions. I did not want him to look too stubby, but he's a short creature after all. By starting with the hands and my rough schematics of where I was going, I was able to concentrate efforts on the details one at a time without becoming overwhelmed. And now, because I've added these other smaller gauge wire, now I can feel how the softer one, it's having a harder time bending. So if I know that I need my hand right there, and that's as far as I want to go with the finger, I can secure it in that position. And really strengthen the wrist if you feel that that is where the majority of the action is going to happen with your doll or with your character. It's very important that the fingers are the same length. Okay, so I have my 2 hands here. So I start at the bottom. In order to save my sanity, whatever is left of it, and to put to good use the many ends and leftover bits of repurposed knits I use for doll clothing, I started to wrap it around the wire. This was a flash of inspiration. I didn't think I was going to build it this way, but I'm very glad I did it. This served the purpose of giving the core wool something to stick to, while also saving me a couple of hours of needle felting. I mean, this thing took a year, so it's not like I saved a ton of time. My wrists and hands are still healthy, so I guess it was a good call. So he has a mix of cashmere, virgin wool, alpaca, and other manner of high-end knit leftovers as a protective layer over the wire armature. If you're tagging along and making one yourself, you of course don't need such materials. If you're a normal person that doesn't carry container after container of fabric scraps, you can easily do this with wool only, or use cotton batting to beef up the armature or cover the entire thing in tape. I've seen other people do this. I don't like the tape version because it's too slick for the core wool to attach to it, so think of some other textile or fiber that you can wrap your core wool around it. Once the basic frame was solid, it was time to start adding wool. In all honesty, this is by far my favorite part. I decided to sculpt the hands in the simple version without any fingers. At the time when I made this armature, I'd only done fingers with wire once, and I just wasn't sure the creature in the story was going to need them. So I went for what I call mitten hands. So you will always refer back to the drawing to make sure that the shape that you are making is the correct one. You can also measure the circumference to make sure both arms are the same. You can keep the arms at an angle so that you know that this is the palm, so that you can put more wool here or make knuckles or whatever it is that you're trying to do. I added a little bit of wool on the palm to easily tell which hand was which, and then it was time to build the rest of the arm. I figured it would be easier to devote time to the hands first and then join that armature to the one for the arms. Having the schematic helped a lot when measuring the wire and figuring out how fat to build it, and to have two of the same, of course. At this point, I wasn't entirely sure how I was going to build the rest of the body, so I left those ends of the arms there, just waiting for when I got to that part of the build. Having done the arms, I knew now what I was doing when I made the legs and the feet. Because this creature was supposed to be able to support himself, I thought it best to have the leg-foot armature in one go instead of broken into two parts like the arms. Initially, I thought I would add disc joints, and you'll later find out the madness that was coming my way. But for now, let us just say that I was feeling very confident in the whole build, building a strong armature, reinforcing it, adding knit fabrics. These little bits here were Angora, cashmere, and mohair, and then building with wool the rest of the shape. These legs took a long time. I don't like to felt soft. I always strive very firm and compacted felting because I feel it fares much better with time. And even though this creature was meant to always live with me, I do strive for as much excellence as I can in my doll making endeavors. So I wanted to build him sturdy, fat, and with well-formed legs. This stage of the process taught me patience I didn't even know I had. About halfway through sculpting the limbs, I hit a bit of a confidence wall. I was already starting to doubt how I was going to be able to properly tension the legs and consider scrapping the whole thing altogether. Visions of loose joints, potentially better ways to have built the legs, etc. were all haunting my dreams. But that's part of the process. I knew I was giving myself some grace, and that if in the end the legs did not work out in their current form, I could always just sculpt another pair, right? In the early stages of developing a new pattern, making a new class, etc., I always hit a moment where I very much dislike the process I'm in. I think everything is rubbish and I want to just hide under a pillow. I've been exploring doll making for 17 years now, so I can recognize it as more of a bump in the road, and so I try my best to ignore that mean talk, self-induced, and just breathe, work, and walk through it. It works every time. I have been creating dolls with an inner armature since 2013, but this was my first time making one so darn large. I tried to apply what I knew from the smaller dolls for a creature like him. I've learned over many successive projects that a strong armature and well-sculpted limbs make the entire rest of the doll much easier, especially when it comes to covering it in doll skin, which you will see later. It's this hidden structure that lets the magic happen. That's actually one of the reasons I am creating a full class around this process. There's so much more I've learned now, and I feel I can teach you in a masterclass. I'll let you know when it's ready. But if you like to follow along more closely into the creation of this woodland gnome, you're going to need the actual blueprints to create your own. I've put my personal patterns, the wire armature dimensions, and the exact product checklist into a free companion guide for you. Click the link in the description below to download Sculpting the Woodland Gnome Companion Guide for free. The link is below and it's my gift to anyone who wants to start their own wool sculpting journey. And see if they're both the same length and where they're twisting, right? You don't have to make this twist really hard or anything, and you can undo a little bit if you need to, right? So you just want to make sure that you have this length even before you start wrapping the material to cover the arms and needle felting it. What struck me during these early stages is how much personality already lives in the armature and those first layers of wool. Even without starting the face or his clothes, I could already feel his quiet, watchful presence. This project reminded me that the best creations take the time they need. There's no rushing the soul of something that's handmade. If you're enjoying this journey so far, I would love to hear from you in the comments. Have you ever tried needle felting or armature work? What kind of character would you want to bring to life? Don't forget to grab the free companion PDF if you're thinking about starting your own project. By grabbing your copy, you'll also get early bird access and an exclusive discount for my upcoming masterclass, where I will teach you my newly updated advanced techniques step by step. Next time, we'll move on to sculpting the torso and beginning to shape his character. I can already tell you he's chock full of personality. Thank you for joining me at the very beginning. I'll see you in the next chapter.